Hey, couch potatoes. Welcome to another episode of On the Sofa with me, your girl, Lil Sonia. Come in, take a seat, and let's get the conversation started. Hey, couch potatoes. Welcome to another episode on the sofa with your girl, me, Lil Sonia. And today we have the infamous Phillip Brandon sitting on the sofa with us tonight. Welcome, Phillip.
Hey, what's going on? I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. So, Phillip, I don't know if you've ever got a chance to watch the show, but as an icebreaker, I always ask my guests to choose a number no greater than their current age and let the audience know once you've chosen that number.
I've chosen it.
Okay, what is it?
27.
27. So now, Phillip, you have the pleasure of letting the audience know how 27-year-old Phillip ties into the Phillip that's sitting on the sofa with us this evening.
Oh, okay, that's good. 27-year-old Phillip was a pinnacle year for me because it's where I felt that I switched over, like my brain switched over to like man to a man brain. Like I started thinking about different stuff like real estate and thinking of different things as opposed to like the here and the now. I was like thinking about the future and all kinds of stuff. So that was a big age in me, like, even taking my career even further and being more serious about everything.
Nice. So 27, Phillip became a man.
Yes, indeed.
So, Phillip, tell the audience a little bit about who you are, where you come from.
Yeah. So I am born and raised in Inglewood, California. Actually, I still live in the LA area. My mom still lives in the house that we grew up in. I am a singer, songwriter, and storyteller. Now, it's funny because, a lot of people think, oh, you grew up in LA, oh, Hollywood, this, that, and the third, where I was the furthest from Hollywood growing up. I wasn't connected to the industry at all. So, after I went to finish high school, and I ended up going to Morehouse College in Atlanta, and my degree is in marketing. So again, not affiliated with the industry at all. And it wasn't until after I graduated college that I got into, I started thinking about entertainment and doing things in the industry. And now I'm more connected with Hollywood, and learning more of it now. Learning more of it as an adult than I did as a kid. So it's cool.
What inspired you to go in that direction from marketing to singer, songwriting, acting, all of the above? What inspired you to go that way?
So I think the funniest part is I was actually really, really shy up until high school, until I finished high school. So I didn't do, a lot of people are like, oh, were you in choir? Were you doing this? Did you act? No, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do a school play. I didn't do none of that stuff.
Wow.
And so it wasn't until when I got to Morehouse, so I knew that I could sing because I always grew up listening to music. My mom, she's a singer as well. She actually toured with Ray Charles as a Raylette for a number of years.
Shout out to Mom.
Yeah, Mom. So yeah, she's doing it big. And my dad, he wasn't a musician, but he was definitely a music lover. And so just having them both, that inspiration in the house. So I always knew that I could sing. I just, was too scared to use it. So once I got to Morehouse, I ended up auditioning and got into the Glee Club, which is the official singing organization of the school. And even though I was a marketing major, they still gave me a partial scholarship to kind of tour. Every spring we would have to tour as ambassadors of the school. And so going from city to city and singing in these different cities, that's what kind of got my brain working of like, oh, people actually like pay for this kind of stuff. This is cool. You get to do what you love and kind of, be a brand for the school. And, so that's where that page kind of turned.
Okay. So you graduated from Morehouse.
Yeah.
You were touring while you were at Morehouse.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your first official gig.
The first job. So when and I always like to tell this part of it because my first when I graduated with a marketing degree, I got an internship in this marketing department of this company in Atlanta. And I got in there and I was like, okay, this is cool. They were like, we love you. We want to offer you a full-time position. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to do this. Like I just felt I felt kind of like I was too young to be settled, because they were
Gotcha.
somebody that was in there, they had been there for 35 years. And I was just like, oh wow, this is a lot. So I ended up moving back to LA. And when I got back to LA, a buddy of mine he had moved on. I used to sing in an a cappella group with him. He had moved on and started booking singers to go on cruise ships. And so my first job was singing in an a cappella group on a cruise ship. I did 2 different contracts. I'm telling you. And let me tell you about this. I saw the entire world. The only 2 places I didn't get a chance, the only 2 continents I didn't hit was Antarctica and Australia.
So you got to see the world while doing what you loved.
I'm telling you, it was really eye-opening because you got thinking I'm right out of school and just now I'm like having all these life experiences, meeting people from all over the world, working with people from all over the world, and getting the chance to see. Like I remember seeing the Northern Lights, and being like, whoa, this is crazy. And then I remember also we were like, not the Northern Lights, it was the midnight sun where the sun never goes down during a certain time period. Yeah. And I remember being like, this is incredible. It's midnight and it looks like noon. Like that's how bright the sun is right above you, So just stuff like that, it just always stays with me. It was such a cool experience.
Oh my God. So how long were you on the cruise ship?
So I did 2 different contracts. So I was on there for about a year in total.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So after the cruise ship, then what?
So after the cruise ship, so in between those 2 contracts, I went and I was like, so I started feeling myself a little bit. I was like, maybe I can go do some auditions. You know what I mean? Let me see how this stuff works. So I went and auditioned for the Lion King show out in Hong Kong, and I ended up booking that. So did the second contract. On the second contract, I get the well, it was an email because we didn't really have phones being on the water, but got the email saying, hey, we've been trying to contact you. We'd like to offer you this position. And so then I finished that last contract. I had about a month to go home, repack, and then I'm headed out to Hong Kong for 7 months.
That's life-changing.
I'm telling you. So you go from, yeah, it was really, really cool. It was even thinking about it right now and talking about it, I'm like, man, that was cool, And so
how did that make you feel?
So okay, there's a part of my brain that is like that, like really, really logical. So the really, really logical part of my brain was like, oh, you're just doing this until you figure out what your real job is going to be. So so like, I was like, I'm just kind of having fun seeing the world until I can, figure out what I'm gonna actually do. But it was cool in that, like, I'm just, I was still able to like kind of just take everything in and be like, this is not like, this ain't just like what everybody just gets a chance to do. These are like some really cool opportunities. And so I really did get a chance to sit in that and like just be thankful and grateful for it.
So per your bio, you've been in several well-known movies.
Some TV shows. Yeah.
You've done TV shows. You've done commercials with some of the best. How does it differentiate from Broadway style acting and singing to actually being behind the camera on a set?
Oh, it's a huge difference. I will tell you, let me start with the similarity, right?
Okay.
The one thing that I think is the same no matter what style or genre of acting you're doing is truth and authenticity. Like, because it needs to come from a real place, because people are always going, the average person may not be able to verbalize what it is, but they can say, oh, something's off. Like, I don't believe that, or whatever the case is. Right?
Absolutely.
Now, once you go out of that, everything else is different. Like, because when I'm doing for stage, everything has to be bigger. And for, they say, you need to be able to reach the back wall. You need to, But when you get on in front of that camera and you start trying to act like you do on stage, people be like, is everything okay? You good? You know what I mean? Why are you screaming? You know what I mean? Like, and so what I did was I got a chance to I got connected with this awesome on camera class that really, and a friend of mine that I really, really trusted, she does a ton of TV work. She was like, you need to go take this class. He's gonna help you out a lot. And so that's where I got, the similarity is the truth and the authenticity, but you just have to adjust the actual technique a little bit. And so then, because on camera is a lot more conversational. It's a lot more just like we doing. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
just like a regular conversation. It doesn't have to be as heightened. So those are the differences.
Which one gives you the most pressure? Which one stresses you out?
They both do for different reasons. And the reason
Okay.
I'm gonna say this, on stage, it's because you're gonna sink or swim. The audience gonna let you know right then and there. You don't have time to be like, cut, all right, let's edit it and
Let's
blah blah
do it
blah,
over. Yeah.
let's do it over. So that one is definitely a lot of pressure every time you do it, because every time you're doing something on stage is for a new audience, and they are going to also let you know if you sink or swim, no matter how you feel or whatever.
Yeah.
The pressure when it comes to on camera is, there's a lot of different moving pieces, and so you don't want to be the one to mess anything up to make things slow down. So you got to remember, okay, what's your lines? Okay, now what's your intention? Okay, now, because sometimes you're not doing things in chronological order.
Yeah.
So it's like, whereas in a play on stage, everything is done in order. So you can kind of build up to stuff. But you may have a scene where you got to, be emotionally unstable, but we're doing that one first. So you haven't had any build up. So that's where the pressure comes in when it comes to on camera. It's just knowing exactly where you are in time and space and being able to deliver that.
Now, what made you transition from being in the Lion King in Hong Kong? Like, that's big shit.
I'm telling you, look, that's what I'm saying. Even talking about it right now and just thinking about it, I'm just like, man, this is cool. So you know what? I've always kind of been the person that wants to try something. I want to try it and say, let me see if I can have a hand at this. And so, I started out as a singer, like I'm a singer first, and then me booking the Lion King show is where I was like, oh, well, I can say some lines. I guess I can act, right? And so then after that, right after the Lion King is when I booked the Color Purple national tour, and so that's my first thing as a full-fledged musical. And the reason that was pivotal is because that's what gave me the confidence to say, okay, you can actually act. Like, this is something you can do. And so if I can do it on stage, I should be able to do it on camera. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that went.
Tell us a little bit about the experience on the Color Purple tour.
Yeah, such a wonderful experience because I was on that tour for about 2.5 years on and off.
Wow.
And so you have a family bond with your castmates at that point. You know what I mean? You're for better and for worse, or what all that entails, because you're around each other a lot. So I mean, some of the people that I'm closest to this day came from that tour. You know what I mean? We consider ourselves family even to this day. And so it was just it was a beautiful story to be told, and to be able to kind of have my, be a part of that legacy is just incredible.
I'm proud of you myself. When I read your bio, I was like, oh my God, the Color Purple, like, that's amazing. And now the Lion King, that's another big accolade.
Mm-hmm. It was so. I mean, I just can only say that I've been very blessed to come across some of these really cool experiences.
So, what led you into songwriting?
So, like I say, I was a singer first, and then I think it was kind of songwriting seemed like the perfect marriage between storytelling, which is what you do as an actor, and singing, right? Because it's like, well, if I'm telling a story, then why not, write the story that I'm telling? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so that's kind of how songwriting came into the picture, because it is just it's another really cool intimate form of expression. Because when you're writing, there's nothing holding you back. Like
Yeah.
there's nobody sitting, at least when you're initially creating, you know what I mean? You're just saying, this is the story I want to tell, these are my thoughts, and you're writing that down pen to paper. And so I think that's been one of it's been such a cool outlet for me to be able to write.
Any particular artists that has picked up some of your songs who've you written for that you want to share?
No, not none that I've picked up yet, but I
Okay.
have got a chance to work with a couple of cool, really, really cool artists. But yeah,
Okay.
I've been mostly writing for myself, which has been incredible. Yeah.
That you're just multi-talented all across the board. All across the board. Commercials. So when did the commercials come in? Is that in between Broadway and
Yeah. So
film?
the commercials, it was like, I want to say that's the gap between doing theater and then like TV, because it was like, when you're in Hollywood, they say, oh, your commercial agents are the easier agent to get. So I was like, okay, I took a commercial class. I was like, let me check this out and see. And I mean, it still took me a little while to get my footing in that, because even in commercials, that is a different technique than even on TV and film. Why? Because in a commercial, the star is the product, not the actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that everything is about that product and that brand. And so, a lot of times actors, especially those who are really those who like, gone to conservatory or, really studied it, they'll kind of, put their nose up at commercials. And I'm just like, commercials have been great to me.
Bring it
So
on.
I listen, bring them all. Yeah. If you don't want it, I'll take it. So you go ahead and sit this one out. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, but yeah, so it was kind of like the bridge between the theater and the on camera.
TV shows. Tell me about your experience with the TV shows. You've been on some well-known TV shows.
Yeah, it's been cool. Let me tell you, because I think one of the first big uh spots that I got was on a Nickelodeon show called Henry Danger. And I played this I mean larger than life character called the mayor of Swellville, and or Neighborville, excuse me. And it was cool because they were like, "We want you to just go for it." So like, I got a chance to actually kind of like parlay some of that theater training, because they were like, "We want you to be big. We want you to just do it." And so I was like, that was really cool.
So it was a lot
So
of improv.
it was a lot of it wasn't necessarily improv, as more as just they kind of wanted to feel very spontaneous. So they were like, if
Gotcha.
you do feel something that's improv, don't shy away from it, but just we want you to take that energy and just go with it. And so yeah, so I've done that. I got a chance to I did an episode of Station 19 on ABC. Got a chance to do an episode of SWAT on CBS. Got a chance to do be on the final season of Grace and Frankie on Netflix, and work right alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. I
I
mean,
love it.
it's been such a cool experience, because I'm sitting up looking at people, and I'm just like, man, this is actually happening in real time in front of my eyes, and it's
Whoa.
cool. Like I just sit up there, I'm like, wow, this is awesome.
How does it make you feel working with stars of that stature?
It's very surreal, is
Mhm.
the best way to put it, because I'm like, I saw you, like I've seen you growing up, I've seen you
Yeah.
like that, this is and for me, I tend to get more starstruck with like legends, because I'm like, I remember seeing you at different stages of your life, and this, like, so it's like, it's incredible. Of course I love working with everybody, but like some
Yeah.
the legends make me kind of be like, oh, I don't know what to say. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say anything crazy. But yeah, it's just been such a dope experience.
Have any of them like mentored you at all?
So not in the formal way
Okay.
of like, oh, this is my mentor, but they definitely will like kind of have sidebars like when we're in between takes and stuff, and just kind of, what I like to do is kind of, as much as I can, be a fly on the wall and just
Yeah.
soak up the greatness. Like the thing I say about when I did, Grace and Frankie, I was amazed at, okay, so you got to know that both of those ladies are into their 80s, that they're over 80.
Really?
Yeah. And so here, the thing about that was that it was a very, very long day of filming. I think my call time was like 7 a.m. Theirs was before mine. And then I got released somewhere around 5 or 6 p.m. They were
Oh,
still
wow.
working after I was gone. And now they did not complain. There was no like, oh, this is a long day. They were just about their work. And it was incredible to watch, because I was like, they've both been in the industry for over 50 something years. And it's like, you still come in and working like it's your first day. It's amazing.
I want to know what supplements they're taking, what they're doing.
Right.
My
Yeah.
goodness.
I'm telling you, because I work about 5 hours and I'd be like, all right, I need a nap. Wait.
Something, a cup of coffee,
Something.
something. Wow. And I had no
Yeah.
idea they were actually that old in age.
They're in their 80s. Yeah. That's the crazy part. That we don't think about it, because we just kind of, that's the thing about when you're watching certain movies and stuff, it's kind of stuck in time. So for me at least, I just kind of assume, oh, they probably a little bit older, but they're not going to be.
Yeah, like
So
Sophia from the Golden Girls. She was not as old as her character was.
correct, not at all. And I think if I heard something where she was actually the youngest,
The
or if not
youngest,
one of the
yes,
youngest
the
on there.
youngest,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. So what are you working on? You're touring, I know that much.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in Sacramento now. That's why I was like, okay, let me try to do a little studio situation here. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I'm on tour with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra right now. This is my 15th season touring with them.
Wow.
And I gotta kind of give you a little, backstory on that, right?
Please.
Because I'm doing The Lion King back in Hong Kong. Remember that? So this was, YouTube was still kind of fairly new. So I put up a little clip of me doing The Lion King, and that's what the talent scout from Trans-Siberian Orchestra saw and reached out to me to start seeing if I would be a good fit for this organization. So it's like one thing has led to another in some way, shape, or form.
It's so destined for you. You
Thank
went
you.
from marketing to making it happen.
I mean, I will say, I'm so happy that I did go the business route, because I mean, it is show business, and
Yeah, that's true.
I put all businesses in all caps and bold. You know what I mean? The show part is like the small part. That's the fun part, but the business side, where so that's been really cool. But yeah, so I'm on tour with them now. I just released my first EP within the first project in the last 7 years on the 25th of October. That's called
Congrats.
Deja Vu. Thank you, thank you. It's a 5-song EP called Deja Vu. The lead single from that, which is Mystery, made it to #2 on the iTunes Jazz charts. That was look. I'm like, man, any kind of recognition. I'm like, this is dope, man. This is
Yes.
cool. Because look, for me, I'm just sitting here like, all I'm doing is creating and being and living. And so when somebody's like, "Oh, I like that," this is I want to give you an accolade because of this. I'm just sitting there like, "Oh, this is cool. This is something that I would do regardless." So like the fact
Yeah.
that anybody does any kind of recognition, or even this, you sharing your platform for me to even be able to chat about it, it's just like, this is crazy. Like, what is this life? I'm sitting here having a conversation with you about what I do. I'm like, what?
And the world
So
wants to know.
oh, it's so cool. It is so, so cool. So yeah, that's what I have coming out. And then next month on the 13th, got together with a couple of the bandmates from Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and we're releasing a single called
Oh,
Something About You. Yeah. And it's under the band name Mud Creek, featuring
okay.
myself, Phillip Brandon. And it was like a fun idea that piano player. She just came, she wanted to produce it. And, her husband was like, oh, I think Phillip would sound great on this. And so it just became this whole thing where we just came up with it. And it's a different sound than what I typically record and myself. So it's going to be really cool to hear everyone's response from that. And then I'm going to be releasing new music in 2025 and getting ready to hit the road with some dates. I'm just trying to do it. I want to get everything in. No,
I'll work no play. You go.
No. I have fun too now. I've been working in some vacations.
Okay. That's important.
It is so important.
That is important. You got to digress sometimes and just have your woosah moment.
You do. And I didn't know that until last year was the first time that I actually took a vacation that had nothing to do with work in like 10 years. Because I kind of think, oh, I'm traveling all the time. So why would I pay for a vacation if I'm always in hotels and traveling in cool places? But I said, oh, it's a completely different shift when you're not working and you're there just for fun and having, and relaxation. So that's something that I said I'm gonna really try to
You gotta incorporate that into it somehow. Get your field time.
Yeah. So that's been really cool to kind of get done.
Where would you like to see your brand within the next 5 years?
I want my brand to be it's kind of hard just because the industry has shifted so much, but they used to say I want to be a household name. So I want to get to the place where people, when they hear Phillip Brandon, it's like, oh, that's dope. I know him from this, or I know him from here, or I love his music. And it's funny because I try to look at things in a big picture situation, right? And so it's interesting because I'm kind of seeing, I definitely have a lot more work to get to, but I'm seeing it start to come, together because it's like, oh, I saw you on such and such. Oh, I love your music. I love this. And it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's starting to, I'm seeing the wheels turn on that. So I definitely want to get my brand to a place where it's definitely more recognizable in the next 5 years.
And how does it make you feel for people to say, I've seen you in this movie or this show, and I've heard your music and I enjoy it? How does that make you feel?
It's, what? It's still very shocking to me. It's shocking to me even when people I know reach out to me and say, I just saw you on Netflix. I just saw you on such and such. And I'm like, that's cool. You know what I mean? Because it's like, or sometimes people will take a little screenshot and then they'll post it or something like that. And it's just really cool. So it makes me feel great because it's like, okay, it's almost like the confirmation that, okay, you're doing exactly what you should be doing.
Does that fuel you to go harder?
Oh yeah, every single day. It is funny because it's like every time I hear somebody says that, or they reach out or recognize from something, I'm like, all right, what's the next thing? Let me just jump in. Let me dive in now because now they didn't egg me on. It's time to go.
Because I asked these questions because I interviewed another known actor and he doesn't even know he's a celebrity.
Really?
I'm like, dude, everybody loves you. Wow. He's like, I'm just humble about it,
Yeah.
It was his first gig and he ended up being on the show for 5 seasons. And
whoa,
yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah. I think too, and I'm glad you said that because there is an element, and this is why, tying back in the whole thing about taking time to have a vacation and stepping away for a second, there is an element of being so focused and so in the zone that you're not able to see the big picture because it just becomes like, I got to grind and work and grind, and then, if you don't take time to say, okay, let me step away from it for a second, how are you going to enjoy everything how are you even going to enjoy the journey? Because all you're doing is like this. And so, me saying, let me take some time and relax and really just kind of enjoy some aspects of it so I can, because if you get to a place and you haven't really taken in the journey, what does it mean that you got there?
That's true.
You know what I mean? You're just like, well, I'm here. Okay, so what did you learn along the way? Because that's what life is about. Everything that's gotten you to where you are.
Absolutely.
It's not about the end result. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's the journey and the lessons learned.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where I'm really trying to remind myself more and more, nowadays.
You're so optimistic and I love it because I always try to see the glasses half full instead of half empty myself.
Yeah.
Um, but with that being said, has there ever been a time where you just wanted to give up?
I can't, okay, I won't say give up, but I will say there are times that are very like sobering where I'm
Okay.
just like, all right, like I remember, in particular, like back in 2018, I unfortunately lost my father to cancer.
I'm
And I
sorry. My
remember that being,
condolences.
thank you. It was just very tough because it was like, okay, this is a real life situation. This is something that I can sit up here all day long and try to act
Hmm.
as though there's a glass half full. But I was like, my pops is gone.
Yeah.
There's no full half full here. But then, I remember because he was very like like definitely one of my biggest fans, and like he would
Yeah.
always just like, I remember one of my last shows that I did before he passed, he couldn't make because he was too ill by that time. And I remember him just being like, he called me before the show and he was just like, I just want you to know you're gonna kill this. He would call me the magician on stage. He was like, the way you can
Yes.
just do things, and so I was just like, okay, that's cool. So I try to remember those moments of like, okay, he set this up because both he and my mom have been like the biggest cheerleaders as far as like, a lot of times people say, oh, my family kind of resisted me going into the industry. They were like, no, do it. They're like, you won't know until you try it. You know what I mean? And so
You don't hear that often.
and so that's another thing where I had to realize like, oh, this isn't something that like is like a universal thing. This is something that I have been blessed to be a part of this family that has
Yeah.
given me, and so it's
Yeah.
been really cool. So I can't say that it's been, look, yet I'm looking for the woods and like I ain't wanted to give up yet, but but there definitely have been some things that made me take pause and take stock of like, okay, let me what is my why? Why are
Yeah.
you doing this? Because I think if you know what your why is, you can make sense of everything else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Are there any artists that you want to work? Anybody on your wish list?
oh, there's always a ton of artists on the wish list. I mean, I love, there's Samara Joy, who's the new jazz art, savant that's out doing the thing. I would love to, to sing with her. I would love to do a tune with Gregory Porter. I would love to do a tune with some of the legends. One of my favorite groups growing up was the Whispers, and I think people used to laugh
Yes.
at me. But they used to laugh when I was younger because I'm sitting up there, 7 years old. We begin to rock. You know what I mean? uh, but it's one of those things of like I wanted to be able to create art with as many people as possible. I
Yeah.
think the more that we can collaborate with folks and continue moving things forward, and seeing whatever you can create with folks, what comes out of that, I think the better.
So you just spoke it all into existence, right? You just
Yeah.
verbalized everybody you're going to work with in the future
Hey,
and
I
probably the near
received that.
future because like you said, there's always somebody watching.
Mhm, mhm.
There's always somebody watching.
That
So,
is very true. Yeah. Thank you for saying that because I think that is that is so true. It's so funny. It's funny that you said that, and I was having a phone conversation earlier today about you just never know. A lot of times we get
mhm.
caught up in the analytics and this only got this many and da 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 da, and then sometimes it's like, well, you only need that one.
Yep,
You only need that, whatever. What does it mean if a million people saw it, but nobody was touched from it? But if a
absolutely.
hundred people saw it and you were able to like touch two or three lives, and like now it's just I can go on and on about it, but I mean, it's something to again going back to the why. Why are you doing it? Because if you're
Yeah,
doing it for analytics and numbers, you've already failed because those
absolutely.
are those are destined to dip.
I don't pay
You
attention
know,
to them. I don't pay
yeah,
attention to them at all when it comes to this podcast because
yeah.
how did Desiree find me? You know, how did other managers and publicists find me? They didn't comment, they didn't like, but they found me.
Hmm.
They found me. And that's a
Exactly.
blessing in itself. So I don't pay attention to numbers. I pay attention to you guys.
And it shows because you have an incredible platform, and I
Thank
really
you.
love how I love how the passion that you have. Like that's one of the
Thank
first
you.
things I noticed. I was like, oh, this is about to be fun because you know you real with it, and you also very passionate about what you do, and that we read that, we feel that.
I love to have a conversation and I actually and genuinely want to know about you
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
share that with the world because
yeah.
the world needs to know who Phillip Brandon is. And if they
Oh,
don't know, now they know.
if they don't know, they gonna know now. They gonna
Yes,
find out.
exactly. On every platform.
I love
On
that. That's
every
beautiful.
platform. So what anything after the tour? Anything planned after the tour? Anything lined
Yeah.
up?
So after the tour, get ready to release a couple more. Next year, I'm going to release some more new music. So
Okay.
I know the one part of the business side is people like regularity when it comes to releases and stuff. Now it used to be back in the day, oh, you release an album every 4 or 5 years and you good. Now they're like, okay, you released that last month, what's next? You'd be like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I haven't worked that one yet, but hold on. Now, so releasing more music. I just signed with a new booking agent, so I want to hit the road with my
Nice.
own music, playing some small theaters and jazz clubs and stuff, and hit the ground running back when it comes to commercial work. Was able to shoot a couple of those this year, and want to hit the ground running with that in the new year, and just be ready to be busy. I want folks to be tired of seeing Phillip Brandon. I want you to be like, oh, I didn't see you again.
Listen, I'm ready to hear Grammy Award winning.
Oh yeah, I'll even take Grammy nominated.
Yes, because that's a
Just
big
put me in
thing
the
too.
number.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a huge
yes. We
thing.
speaking it to existence. We're speaking it into
Yeah,
existence.
I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So is there any advice you have for artists that are trying to break into the industry, that are up and coming,
Mhm.
that are struggling?
Yes, and I'm a recycle what I've been the theme of what I've been saying. What is your why? Why are
Yeah.
you doing it? Okay, if you know why you're doing it, then you will be able to make a lot of it. Here's the thing. It's a crazy business. You got to be mentally prepared for it because you are willingly going into an industry where you know that you're going to hear no
Mhm.
95% of the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
What I don't know what business model that like if any other business model you go into, if they're like, okay, you have a 5% chance of a yes and a no. It just that so you have to be very clear on what your why is, because all of that then turns into analytics. I don't care about that because I'm only pivoting on the
Right.
yes, right? So like I'm only going to hear that, and that's what's going to keep me going. So anybody who's coming into it or who's been in it, stay encouraged, and know what your why is. Why are you doing it? But the other parts of that, find the fun and enjoy your
Mm.
journey. Enjoy your journey because it's going to be different from everybody else's. If you're trying to compare it to, well, so and so by the time they were 10 and 15 and they had blah 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 blah, great. So you just told their story. Now what's your story?
Come on now.
You see what I'm saying? So like so just find the fun, enjoy the journey, and know your why.
Let's tell the audience and the viewers where they can find Phillip Brandon, where they can listen to your music that's streaming, where they can watch some of your episodes and find some of your commercials, because everybody's going to look for you after this.
Yeah. So I'm for my music, I'm on all the streaming platforms. So, your
Okay.
Spotify, your Apple Music and everything. Just type in Phillip Brandon. Phillip has two L's. I have my YouTube. I'm on YouTube and I put up like different music videos, and sometimes I'll put up clips on there. And also on all the socials, I'm at Phillip Brandon and the number two. And again, Phillip has two L's, and I'm pretty active on the social media now, so I
Okay.
try to keep people updated with what's going on and keep sharing things that I have happening.
Well, Phillip, thank you so much for joining me on the sofa this evening. This was amazing. I had fun getting to know you and know all about your journey. You have an amazing journey and so much more ahead of you. Just want you to know that in case you don't know that, you have
I
so much more
appreciate
ahead
it.
of you. You're going to be beyond a household name. I see
Thank
that
you
for
so
you.
much. I just got to tell you again, thank you. I really admire and love your platform, and thank you for
Thank
sharing it with
you.
me.
Thank you. All right, couch potatoes. Any last words, Phillip, before we get up out of here?
You know what? Just stay the course and enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey, y'all. Y'all heard it first, right here on the sofa. And we out of here because we got shit to do. Bye-bye.